There are some places that only become frightening after everyone else has gone home. An empty house across the street. A bus stop after midnight. A trail deep enough in the woods that nobody can hear you call for help. Tonight I have 3 stories about people who noticed something small that did not make sense. And instead of walking away, they kept looking. One watched an abandoned house long enough for something inside to notice him back. One boarded a bus that was not listed on any route. And one found a trail camera containing photographs that should have been impossible. So get comfortable. Turn the lights down. And if there is a window somewhere behind you, maybe leave the curtains closed tonight. Because the first story begins with a house that had been empty for almost 9 years. At least, that is what everyone on the street believed. Until someone started waving from the upstairs window. The first time I saw someone standing in the upstairs window, I called the police. The second time, I took a picture. The third time, a person in the window was standing in my bedroom. Not physically. At least, not yet. It was reflected in the mirror behind me. And somehow, it was still standing across the street at the same time. I had lived on Willow Creek Road for almost 4 years before I started paying attention to the house. That sounds strange now. It was directly across from mine. I could see it from my kitchen, from my bedroom, from the couch. But after a while, empty houses become part of the background. You stop seeing them. It was a 2-story place with faded blue siding and white shutters that had started turning gray. The front yard was more weeds than grass. A dead tree leaned over the driveway. There was always an old newspaper box near the curb, even though nobody delivered newspapers there anymore. The windows were covered from the inside with yellowed blinds. Everyone on the street knew the story. The family who owned it had moved away years earlier. Nobody knew exactly why. Some people said there had been a divorce. Others said the father lost his job and the bank took the place. An older neighbor named Diane told me the family left overnight and never came back for their furniture. That was the version I remembered. Not because it was the most believable. Because Diane had lived on the street longer than anyone. If something happened there, she would have known. The house had been empty so long that nobody even complained about it anymore. Kids avoided the yard. Delivery drivers never stopped there. During storms, the porch lights sometimes flickered even though the electricity was supposed to be disconnected. That was the only thing people still mention. Then one Tuesday night, I saw the person in the window. I was washing dishes. It was around 10. Rain had been coming down lightly all evening. My kitchen window faced the house across the street. I remember looking up because lightning flashed somewhere in the distance. For 1 second, the upstairs room directly across from my kitchen lit up. There was someone standing behind the blinds. A silhouette. Tall. Thin. Perfectly still. I stopped washing the plate in my hand. The room went dark again. I waited for another flash. Nothing. Maybe a curtain. Maybe a coat rack. Maybe furniture left behind. Then the upstairs light turned on. Not bright. Just a weak yellow bulb. Enough to see a person standing at the glass. No blinds anymore. No curtain. Just someone. Facing my house. I shut off the kitchen faucet. You lifted one hand. And waved. Slowly. Left. Right. Left. Right. I stepped away from the window. For a few seconds I did nothing. Then I called the police. That sounds dramatic. But the house was supposed to be vacant. If someone had broken in, I did not want to be the guy who ignored it. 2 officers arrived about 15 minutes later. I watched from my porch while they crossed the street. Their flashlights moved over the windows. The upstairs light had already gone out. They tried the front door. Locked. They walked around the side. One officer eventually came back over. He asked what I saw. I told him. Someone upstairs. Standing in the window. He asked if I knew the homeowner. I said no. He asked if anyone had been working on the property. Again, no. He said they checked the exterior and found no obvious entry point. He told me maybe I had seen a reflection. I did not argue. It was raining. The windows were wet. Maybe I had. The next morning, the house looked normal. Empty. Dead. The upstairs blinds were closed again. I almost convinced myself that was the end of it. 3 nights later, the person came back. This time I was ready. I had my phone beside me. The upstairs light turned on at 11:17. The blinds open. The figure appeared. Same place. Same posture. Same slow wave. I took a picture. Then another. Then I zoomed in. That was my first mistake. The figure was not facing me. Not exactly. Its body was facing forward, but its head was turned toward my bedroom window on the second floor. I was downstairs. My bedroom was dark. I looked over my shoulder toward the stairs, then back at the house. Figure pointed upward, toward my bedroom. I closed the kitchen blinds. I did not sleep upstairs that night. The next morning I looked at the pictures again. The first one showed the figure. The second showed the figure pointing. The third photo was different. I did not remember taking a third. It showed my own house, photographed from inside the upstairs room across the street. My kitchen window was visible. I was standing behind it with my phone raised. I stared at that picture for a long time, then checked the photo information. Taken at 11:18. Same time. Same phone. I called the police again. This time they searched the house. The property owner gave permission over the phone. The officers went inside. I stood on my porch watching shadows move behind the windows. They were inside maybe 20 minutes. When they came out, one officer walked directly to me. He looked uncomfortable. Not frightened. More like someone who had found something they could not explain and wanted to leave it where they found it. "No one is inside," he said. "What about the upstairs room?" "Empty." "Furniture?" "None." That surprised me. Everyone said the old family left everything. He continued. "The house is basically stripped." "What about the light?" "There is no power." I showed him the photos. He looked at all three, then looked across the street. "Where was this taken from?" "That is what I am trying to tell you." He handed the phone back. "Keep your doors locked." That was the only advice he gave me. I stopped looking at the house after that. Or tried to. The problem with deciding not to look at something is that you become aware of it constantly. Every time I walked through the kitchen, I felt the window. Every time I went upstairs, I knew the empty house was directly across from my bedroom. I started keeping the curtains shut all day. At night I left the television on. Then the knocking started. Not at my door. At the bedroom window. 3 soft taps. Always sometime after midnight. The first night I stayed under the blankets. I told myself branches. There were no trees close enough. The second night the taps came again. 3. Pause. 3. Pause. 3. I walked toward the window. I know. I should not have. But I needed to know. I moved the curtain aside maybe an inch. Nothing outside. Just the empty street. The house across from mine was dark. Then an upstairs light turned on. The figure was waiting. Closer to the glass now. I could make out a face. Not details. Just pale skin. Dark eyes. The figure raised one finger. Pressed it against the window. Then tapped the glass. Once. The sound came from my window. Tap. The figure tapped again. Tap. My window. Same rhythm. Same sound. I dropped the curtain. Something scraped slowly across the glass behind it. I ran downstairs. Sound followed me. Not outside. Inside the walls. Scrape. Pause. Scrape. Moving from the bedroom toward the staircase. I left the house. I drove to a hotel and stayed there until morning. The next day I called Diane, the older neighbor. I asked her about the family that used to live across from me. At first, she gave me the same story. They left years ago. Family problems. Then I asked if anyone had ever seen people in the windows after they left. Diane went quiet. "Why?" "I have." Another pause. "Which window?" "Upstairs front." She sighed. "You should stop looking." My stomach tightened. What does that mean? Diane said she had seen someone too. Years earlier. Not long after the family disappeared. She woke one night and saw a little girl standing in the upstairs window. Diane recognized her. The family had a daughter. Maybe 12 or 13. She was waving. Diane thought the family had returned. The next morning, she went across the street. Nobody answered. That afternoon, she called the mother. The mother told her they were living hundreds of miles away. The daughter was with her. Diane never looked at the upstairs window again. What happened to them? I asked. She said she did not know. But before they left, the father came to her house one night. He looked exhausted. He asked her a strange question. Have you ever seen your own house from inside ours? I stopped breathing. What did you say? She thought he was losing his mind. Diane told me he had started covering every mirror in the house. He said something across the street was watching them. But the house across the street from his was mine. Except my house had not existed yet. The lot was empty back then. My house was built years later. That made no sense. I asked Diane if she was sure. She said yes. Then she told me the last thing the father said before the family left. He said the house was not watching across the street. It was practicing. I hung up. That afternoon I searched everything I could find about the property. Old listings, property records, archived neighborhood pages. The blue house was older than everything around it. Most of the street had been developed later. Before my house existed, there had been woods across from it. Before the road existed, there had been farmland. But the blue house had been there. Different owners, different families. Every decade or so, someone moved out suddenly. Some abandoned belongings. Some stopped paying taxes. One owner disappeared entirely. I found an old Scan newspaper article about him. The headline said, "Local man missing after reporting stranger in home." The article mentioned his wife. She told police her husband had become obsessed with the empty field across the road. He said he saw another house there at night. A copy of their house. And someone standing inside it. Watching. I shut my laptop. That evening I checked every lock. Front door. Back door. Windows. Garage. I covered the mirrors. That felt ridiculous until I reached the bedroom. The mirror above my dresser was already covered. I had not covered it. A white bed sheet hung over the glass, tucked neatly behind the frame. I stood in the doorway. I could hear my heartbeat. I walked toward it slowly. The sheet moved. Just slightly. Like someone behind it had exhaled. I grabbed one corner and pulled it down. The mirror reflected my bedroom. Bed. Lamp. Closet. Me. Normal. Then I noticed the window behind me. In the reflection, the curtains were open. In real life, they were closed. I turned around. Closed. Looked back. Open. Through the reflected window, I could see the blue house. Its upstairs light was on. The figure stood in the window. Except this time it was not waving. It was holding something. A white sheet. It lifted the sheet. Covered its own face. The mirror went black. I backed away. Then the glass showed another room. Not mine. The upstairs room in the blue house. Empty wooden floor. Bare walls. No furniture. And in the middle of the room was my bedroom mirror. Same frame. Same size. Facing the window. I saw myself reflected inside it. Standing in my bedroom. Watching. Then someone walked into view behind me. A man. Tall. Thin. Pale. He stood close enough that his chin was almost over my shoulder. I spun around. Nobody. Looked back. The man was still there. His mouth moved. I could not hear him. I leaned closer. That was my second mistake. His lips formed two words. Look outside. I did not. I smashed the mirror. One hit with the lamp. Glass cracked. The image broke into pieces. Every fragment showed the same man. Closer. 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 I ran downstairs. As I reached the front door, someone knocked. 3 times. I stopped. A porch camera notification appeared on my phone. Motion detected. I opened the app. Nobody stood outside. But across the street, the upstairs window was open. Not the blinds. The window itself. The figure was gone. Front door knocked again. 3 taps. Then a voice said, "Can you let me back in?" My voice. I backed away. "Can you let me back in?" Again. My voice. Perfect. Not distorted. Not creepy. Just me. I did not answer. The doorknob moved. Slowly. Locked. The voice sighed, then walked away. I heard footsteps cross my porch, down the steps, across the street. The upstairs light in the blue house turned on. The figure appeared again. This time, it looked exactly like me. Same shirt, same hair, same face. It smiled, then closed the blinds. I moved out the next morning. I did not pack everything. I took clothes, documents, my laptop, and whatever fit in my car. The realtor asked why. I said personal reasons. The house sold 3 months later. A young couple bought it. I never contacted them. I thought about it. But what would I say? Do not look across the street. Cover your mirrors. If someone with your face knocks, do not answer. Maybe I should have warned them. Because last week, I received a message from the man who bought the house. I had never given him my number. The message said, "Did you leave a camera in the upstairs bedroom?" Attached was a photo. My old bedroom. Empty. Fresh paint. New carpet. In the corner, mounted near the ceiling, was a small black camera pointed at the window. I had never owned that camera. He sent another message. The police say it is not connected to anything. Then another. There are recordings on it. My hands started shaking. I asked what recordings. He sent one video. 6 seconds. Recorded during the night. The camera faced the bedroom window. The curtains were closed. Then someone stepped into frame. Me, standing inside the bedroom, looking directly into the camera. I have not been inside that house in almost a year. In the video, I walked to the curtains, opened them. Across the street, the blue house was gone. In its place stood another house. The same house I used to live in. A perfect copy. In the upstairs window, the new homeowner was standing, watching me. The video ended. I called him. No answer. I called again. Nothing. Then I received one final message. Not from him. From my own number. It said, "You should have kept watching." I blocked the number. Changed mine the next day. I live in an apartment now. 4th floor. No houses directly across. No mirrors facing windows. For months I have slept fine. Until yesterday. Yesterday morning, I opened my curtains. Across the parking lot is another apartment building. I have looked at it every day since moving here. Gray walls. Balconies. Rows of identical windows. But yesterday, there was an extra window. Top floor. Far left. A window that had never been there before. Behind the glass stood someone. Tall. Thin. Still. When I looked closer, it raised one hand. And waved. Slowly. Left. Right. Left. Right. I closed the curtains. I have not opened them since. But tonight, just before I started recording this, someone tapped on my bedroom window. 3 times. I live on the 4th floor. So if you ever notice an empty house across from yours, let it stay empty. Do not photograph the windows. Do not wave back. And if you ever see someone inside who looks exactly like you, close the curtains before they notice you are watching. Because some houses are not haunted. Some houses are mirrors. And sooner or later, something on the other side decides it has watched you long enough. The driver told me one thing before I got on. If the bus stops after Ash Street, do not get off. I laughed. He did not. Then he looked past me toward the empty road and said, "And if someone gets on wearing your clothes, do not let them sit beside you." I should have ordered a taxi. Instead, I paid the fare. I was working late at a restaurant downtown when this happened. Closing shift. Kitchen cleanup. Inventory. One of those nights where every small job somehow adds another 20 minutes. By the time I walked outside, it was almost 1 in the morning. My car was in the shop. My coworker who normally drove me had gone home sick. I checked rideshare prices. Too expensive. So I walked 3 blocks to the night bus. Route 17. I had taken it before. It ran from downtown through the older neighborhoods, past the hospital, then out toward the apartment complexes near the highway. Nothing unusual. The bus stop was empty. The street was wet from an earlier storm. Storefronts were dark. The only light came from traffic signals changing for cars that were not there. The bus arrived 7 minutes late. Old vehicle. Yellow interior, lights. Only 3 passengers. An old woman near the front. A man asleep against the window. And someone sitting all the way in the back with their hood pulled low. The driver opened the doors. He was older. Gray beard. Tired eyes. His name tag said Raymond. I stepped up. He looked at me for a long second. You going past Ash Street? Yeah, Pine Terrace. He frowned. That is far. I know. He printed the ticket. Then gave me the warning. If the bus stops after Ash Street, do not get off. I smiled because I thought it was driver humor. He did not smile. Then he gave me the second warning. If someone gets on wearing your clothes, do not let them sit beside you. I asked what that meant. Raymond shut the doors. You will know. I sat halfway back. Not near the hooded person. The bus pulled away. For the first 20 minutes, everything was normal. Hospital. 2 convenience stores. A church. A closed elementary school. The old woman got off near Lincoln Avenue. The sleeping man got off 3 stops later. That left me. Raymond. And the person in the back. I checked my phone. No service. That was odd. We were still inside the city. I looked out the window. The buildings seemed farther apart now. Streetlights disappeared one by one behind us. Then we reached Ash Street. Raymond stopped. Nobody was waiting. The doors opened anyway. Cold air came inside. Raymond stared forward. The hooded passenger in the back whispered something. I could not hear it. After about 10 seconds, the doors closed. The bus continued. I checked the route display above the windshield. Normally, it showed the next stop. Now it said, service ends here. I walked toward the front. Is the sign broken? Raymond looked at me in the mirror. Sit down. My stop is still another 15 minutes. I know. The bus turned onto a road I did not recognize. No street sign. No houses. Trees lined both sides. I opened the map on my phone. The GPS showed us sitting in the middle of a blank gray area. No roads. No location. Just the blue dot moving slowly through nothing. Where are we? Raymond said past Ash. That was not an answer. Then the bell rang. Someone had pressed the stop button. I looked back. The hooded passenger had not moved. Raymond slowed. A bus stop appeared ahead. 1 small shelter. 1 bench. 1 light. No sidewalk connecting to it. No houses. Just the shelter beside the trees. There was someone waiting. Raymond whispered something under his breath. What? I asked. Do not look at them. Of course I looked. The person at the stop was wearing a restaurant uniform. Black shirt. Black pants. Red apron tied around the waist. My uniform. Same shoes. Same jacket. The bus stopped. The doors opened. The person stepped inside. I saw their face. Mine. Not similar. Mine. Same tired eyes. Same cut on my chin from shaving that morning. Same hair. He looked at Raymond. Then at me. Pine Terrace, he said. My voice. Raymond did not print a ticket. The other me walked down the aisle. Every seat was empty. He chose the one beside me. I moved into the aisle. He stopped. Looked at the seat. Then at me. You mind? I remembered the warning. Do not let them sit beside you. Yes, I said. His expression changed. Not anger. Confusion. Like I had said the wrong line in a conversation he already knew. He sat across the aisle instead. The bus started moving again. For a long time neither of us spoke. I could feel him watching me. Eventually he said, Long shift. I stared at the window. Yeah. Closing? I did not answer. He laughed quietly. Same laugh as mine. We always hate closing. I looked at him. What are you? Raymond slammed his hand against the steering wheel. Do not talk to him. The other me smiled. Raymond gets nervous. The driver looked at us in the mirror. His face was pale. The hooded passenger in the back began laughing softly. The route display changed. Next stop. Home. I looked toward Raymond. "This is not my route," he said. "I told you not to get off." The other me leaned back. "You should get off." "No. You are tired." "No. Your apartment is right there." I looked outside. My apartment building stood beside the road. Impossible. Same parking lot. Same entrance. My bedroom light was on. I knew I had turned it off before work. The bus stopped. The doors open. The other me stood. "Come on." I stayed seated. He walked toward the door, then looked back. "You want me to go home without you?" The way he said it made my stomach turn. Raymond shouted, "Sit down." The other me smiled at him, then stepped off. The doors closed. My apartment vanished behind the bus. Just trees again. Raymond breathed out. "You did good." "What was that?" He shook his head. "Not yet." "What do you mean, not yet?" "We are not at the last stop." The hooded person in the back stood up. They walked slowly down the aisle. Raymond looked into the mirror. Oh no. The hood came down. A woman. Maybe 40. Tired face. Dark hair. She looked completely normal. Except Raymond started crying when he saw her. Not loudly. Just tears running down his face while he kept driving. The woman stopped beside the driver. "Raymond." He stared ahead. "Please sit down. You left me here. Please. You said you would come back." Raymond gripped the wheel. The woman looked at me. "My husband used to drive this road." Raymond whispered, "Do not listen." She continued. "One night he missed Ash Street." Raymond hit the brakes. The woman did not move. She stood perfectly balanced. The bus had stopped at another shelter. This one was old. Broken glass. No light. A sign beside it read, "Last stop." Raymond looked at me. "Whatever happens, stay on the bus." The doors opened. The woman stepped off. Then every light inside the bus went out. Darkness. The engine stopped. For a few seconds, nothing. Then footsteps outside. Circling. One set. Then two. Then dozens. People whispering. Doors rattling. Hands touching the windows. I could hear fingers sliding over the glass. Raymond whispered, "Keep your eyes closed." I did. Something entered the bus. I heard the floor creak. Footsteps down the aisle. Someone sat beside me. I kept my eyes shut. A voice whispered into my ear. My voice. You said I could not sit here before. I froze. Now the seat is empty. I did not answer. It breathed beside me. Then another voice spoke from across the aisle. "My mother." "Open your eyes." I did not. Then my old girlfriend. Then my boss. Then Raymond. All telling me to look. I squeezed my eyes shut. The bus began shaking. Windows rattled. Someone screamed outside. Then the engine started. The lights returned. I opened my eyes. Nobody beside me. Raymond was driving again. The last stop disappeared behind us. I looked toward the back. The bus was full. Every seat. People sitting silently. Men. Women. Children. Some dressed strangely. Some looked modern. Some looked like they had been riding for decades. Every one of them stared forward. No phones. No talking. No movement. The route display said, "Return service." Raymond looked at me through the mirror. "Do not count them." I had already started. 23. 24. 25. The moment I reached 26, every passenger turned toward me. At the exact same time. Raymond shouted, "Stop counting." I stopped. The passengers looked forward again. My heart pounded. What happens if I reach the end? Raymond said nothing. The bus continued. Stops began appearing. Places from my life. My childhood school. My first apartment. The hospital where my father died. The restaurant where I worked. Each stop had someone waiting. Sometimes me. Sometimes people I knew. Sometimes people I had forgotten. Raymond never opened the doors. Then, we reached Pine Terrace. My real stop. At least it looked real. Same sign. Same convenience store. Same apartment entrance in the distance. Raymond stopped. The door stayed closed. This is mine. I know. Open the door. Raymond stared at the mirror. Look at the passengers. I did. Every seat was empty again. Except one. The other me sat in the back. Restaurant uniform. Hands folded. Smiling. Raymond said, "Ask him which stop this is." I did. The other me said, "Home." Raymond shook his head. Ask the street. What street is this? The other me kept smiling. Ash Street. I looked outside. The Pine Terrace sign flickered. For 1 second it said Ash. Then Pine. Then Ash. My stomach dropped. The bus moved again. The other me walked toward us. You are making this harder than it needs to be. Raymond said. He cannot take your place unless you leave first. My copy stopped. What happened to your wife? I asked Raymond. His face tightened. The copy answered for him. She got off. Raymond said nothing. She thought she saw their house. The copy leaned against a pole. She saw their daughter standing outside. Raymond whispered. She had been dead 6 years. The copy smiled. He still got off. I understood then. These stops were not random. They showed you somewhere you wanted to return to. Or someone. The bus did not take you home. It waited until home became tempting enough to make you leave. What happens if I stay until morning? Raymond said, you get another chance. The copy laughed. There is no morning. I looked outside. The sky had not changed. Still black. My phone read 2:13. It had read 2:13 for almost an hour. How long have you been driving? Raymond did not answer. The copy did. Since he missed Ash Street. Raymond's eyes filled with tears. I realized he was not alive. Or maybe not fully. He had been driving this route for years. Maybe decades. Taking people through the last stop. Trying to keep them on the bus. Why help me? Raymond looked at me in the mirror. Because someone helped me once. The copy walked closer. Someone who never got off. The bus slowed. Another stop. No shelter. No sign. Just a woman standing in the road. Raymond's wife. She looked exactly like the woman from before. But now she was smiling. Raymond hit the brakes. His hands shook. She raised one hand. Waved. Raymond stared. The doors opened by themselves. No, I said. He did not look at me. She has been waiting. That is not her. I know. He stood anyway. I grabbed his arm. He felt cold. Not skin. Something thinner. Like holding a coat with nobody inside it. Raymond looked at me. I am tired. That word. Tired. The same thing my copy kept saying. The woman outside opened her arms. Raymond stepped toward the door. I pulled harder. The copy laughed. Everyone gets off eventually. Raymond looked at me one last time. Then pushed me back. He stepped outside. The woman took his hand. Both disappeared into darkness. The bus doors closed. The driver's seat was empty. The bus kept moving. Steering wheel turned by itself. The copy looked at me. Guess you were driving. No. The bus slowed. A uniform appeared on the driver's seat. Blue shirt. Name tag. My name. I backed away. The copy sat in the passenger seat behind the driver. You know the rules. The route display changed. Route 17. Downtown. A light appeared ahead. Street lights. Buildings. Real traffic. Dawn. The bus stopped at Ash Street. The doors opened. A man stood outside. Restaurant uniform. Tired. Checking his phone. Waiting for the night bus. Not me. Someone else. The bus wanted me to open the door. The uniform waited on the seat. I understood. Raymond had not been the driver because he wanted to be. He had stayed too long. Someone had to drive. I grabbed the emergency handle beside the rear exit. Pulled it. Nothing. Again. Nothing. The copy stood. You cannot leave that way. I kicked the door. The glass cracked. The copy stopped smiling. I kicked again. The bus lights flickered. Again. The glass shattered. Cold morning air rushed inside. The copy screamed. Not like me anymore. Like dozens of voices stacked together. I climbed through the broken window. The bus was moving. I hit pavement hard. Rolled. Pain shot through my shoulder. Behind me, the bus continued down the road. The man at the stop watched it pass, then looked at me lying on the street. What happened? I looked toward the bus. Through the rear window, my copy stood staring at me. Then the bus turned the corner. Gone. Police found me 20 minutes later. They thought I had been hit by a car. I tried explaining. Route 17. Raymond. The bus. They checked transit records. The last Route 17 service ended before midnight. There was no overnight bus. No driver named Raymond currently employed. But there had been one. Years earlier. Raymond Bell. He disappeared during a late route with 6 passengers. The bus was never found. Neither were the passengers. I stopped using public transportation after that. I bought a cheap car. I work mornings now. I never stay late. But sometimes after midnight I hear buses outside my apartment. There is no bus route on my street. Last night I looked through the window. An old bus sat at the curb. Yellow interior, or lights. Route display glowing. 17. The doors were open. No driver. 1 passenger. Me, sitting halfway back. Wearing the blue driver uniform. He looked up at my window. Then pressed the stop button. The bell rang inside my apartment. So if you ever take a bus late at night and the driver tells you not to get off after a certain stop, stay seated. Do not trust the streets outside. Do not trust the people waiting. And if someone boards wearing your clothes, do not let them sit beside you. Because some routes are not meant to take you somewhere. They are meant to find out what place you would never refuse to return to. The first photograph showed our campsite. The second showed us sleeping. The third showed a man standing between our tents. The fourth was time-stamped 3 days before we entered the forest. That should have been impossible. We had not even decided to take the trip yet. There were 4 of us. Me, Jordan, Seth, and Maya. We had been friends since college and tried to do one camping trip every year. Nothing extreme. A few miles into the woods. Tents. Small fire. Too much food. Enough cell service to convince our families we were not completely irresponsible. That year, Jordan picked the location. A national forest several hours away. Remote enough to feel isolated. Popular enough that the trails were maintained. At least that is what the website said. We arrived on Friday afternoon. The trailhead parking lot had 3 other cars. Normal. A weather board. Trail map. Bear warning. Nothing unusual. We signed the visitor log. 4 names. Time in. Planned return Sunday afternoon. Then started walking. The first few miles were beautiful. Tall pine. Cold, clear streams. Sunlight breaking through the canopy. We passed one older couple heading out. Then nobody else. Around sunset, we found a flat area near a creek and made camp. 2 tents. Jordan and Seth in one. Maya and me in the other. We cooked. Talked. Complained about work. Normal trip. That night I woke up sometime after 2. I needed to use the bathroom. I crawled out of the tent with a flashlight. The forest was completely still. No wind. No insects. No creek. That caught my attention. Creek was maybe 40 yards away. We had listened to it all evening. Now silence. I walked a little farther from camp. Then my flashlight hit something strapped to a tree. A trail camera. Small. Camouflage casing. Pointed directly toward our tents. I assumed wildlife research. Maybe Forest Service. Then I noticed it was only chest height. And very close. Maybe 30 yards from camp. The camera clicked. A red light flashed. It took my picture. I waved at it like an idiot. Then went back to bed. The next morning I mentioned it. Jordan wanted to see. We walked over. There was no marking. No agency sticker. No owner information. Just the camera. Seth opened the side panel. I told him not to. He said if it belonged to someone official, they would label it. Inside was a memory card. Maya said we should leave it alone. Jordan agreed. Seth removed the card anyway. That was the beginning. We had a small camera that used the same type of card. Jordan inserted it. There were hundreds of photographs. Mostly animals. Deer. Foxes. A raccoon. Nothing strange. Then the recent photos. Our campsite. Taken the night before. First photo around sunset. All four of us sitting near the fire. Second photo. Later. Camp dark. Tents closed. Third. Me, outside with the flashlight. I laughed. There I am. Nobody else did. Jordan zoomed in. Behind me, between the trees, stood a man. Far enough away to almost miss. Tall. Dark clothing. No backpack. No visible face. He was looking toward the camera. I felt my skin crawl. We need to leave, Maya said. Seth kept scrolling. Next photo. Our tents. The man was closer. Next. Closer. Next. Standing between the tents. My stomach dropped. Timestamp said 2:48. I had gone outside around 2:30. We were asleep when that picture was taken. Next photo. The man was gone. Then something worse. A photo of our campsite from Thursday night. The day before we arrived. Both tents were already there. Same tents. Same positions. Same fire ring. 4 people sitting around the fire. Us, Jordan said, that timestamp is wrong. It had to be. But the next image was Wednesday. Our tents again. Tuesday. Again. Monday. Every night our campsite existed. Every night 4 figures sat around the fire. The pictures became blurry, or the farther back we went. But they were us. Same jackets. Same gear. Same bodies. Then a photo from almost 2 weeks earlier. No campsite. Just the man standing alone. Looking directly at the camera. He held a piece of cardboard. Words written on it. You are late. Nobody spoke. Maya said pack. This time nobody argued. We returned the memory card to the camera. Packed everything. Put out the fire. Started hiking toward the trailhead. We made it maybe half a mile before we found another camera. Different tree. Same model. Pointed at the trail. Jordan stopped. Do not touch it. We walked past. Click. Red flash. 30 minutes later, another. Click. Another. Click. The cameras were tracking us. Seth started getting angry. Someone is messing with us. Maya told him to keep moving. The trail forked. That was odd. There had been no fork on the way in. The map showed one path. But now 2 trails. One left. One right. A wooden sign stood between them. Parking. Arrow left. Jordan checked the map. Left makes sense. We went left. 10 minutes later, we passed our campsite. Same creek. Same fire ring. Same flattened grass. We stopped. That is impossible, I said. We had been walking away from it. Jordan checked his compass. The needle spun slowly. No direction. Then stopped pointing toward the creek. Seth laughed nervously. Great. The camera clicked behind us. We turned. Another trail camera on a tree. This one had a photo taped beneath it. Actual printed photograph. We walked closer. 2 of the 4 of us standing in front of the camera. Looking at the photograph. The picture had already been taken. The angle was from behind us. I spun around. Nothing. Freeze. Maya whispered. We are in it right now. The camera clicked somewhere deeper in the woods. Then another. Then another. All around us. Click. 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 Red lights blinked between trees. Dozens. We ran. No trail now. Just downhill through brush. Branches cut my face. My backpack caught on something. Behind us, cameras kept clicking. Seth shouted that he saw someone. I looked back. The man from the photos stood between 2 trees. Still. watching. We kept running. Eventually, we reached a road. Not the parking lot. A narrow gravel road. No markings. No vehicles. We followed it because anything felt better than the woods. After maybe 20 minutes, we found a cabin. Small ranger-style building. Porch. Metal roof. No lights. A sign beside the door said, "Observation Station." Jordan knocked. No answer. Door unlocked. Inside were shelves. Desk. Radio. And photographs. Thousands. Every wall covered. Animals. Hikers. Campers. Children. People sleeping. People eating. People running. Some photographs had dates handwritten underneath. Others had names. Then we found ours. 4 photographs pinned above the desk. My name. Jordan. Seth. Maya. Each one was a close photo of our face. Taken while sleeping. Underneath was another sheet. Arrival Group 42. Status. Early. I stared at the word. Early. The cardboard in the old photograph had said we were late. Jordan found a logbook. Pages filled with groups. Dates written as seasons rather than exact years. Spring. Summer. Autumn. Winter. Each entry had a group number. Names. Arrival. Observation. Departure. Some departures said complete. Some said return. Some said repeated. One word appeared again and again. Replaced. What does replaced mean? Seth asked. Nobody answered. The radio on the desk crackled. A voice came through. Group 42 has entered the station. We froze. The voice sounded calm. Male. Professional. Like park staff. Jordan grabbed the microphone. Hello? The moment he spoke, Maya shouted at him. Too late. The radio answered. Voice sample received. Jordan dropped the microphone. Outside, a camera clicked. The voice continued. Jordan's sample complete. The cabin window showed movement. Someone stood outside. Jordan. Not the real Jordan beside me. Another one. Same clothes. Same backpack. Same bloody scratch on his cheek from running through the woods. He stood beyond the glass. Smiling. Jordan whispered. What the hell? The copy lifted one hand. Waved. The radio crackled. Visual sample complete. Then Maya appeared outside. Another copy. Then Seth. Then me. 4 of us outside. 4 inside. Our copies stood shoulder to shoulder. The radio said, Group 42 ready for departure. Maya backed away. No. The front door handle moved. Locked. We had not locked it. The copies outside walked around the cabin. One at each wall. I could hear footsteps. Then silence. The radio crackled again. Please remain still during replacement. Seth grabbed a chair and smashed the back window. Glass broke. The copies screamed. Not like people. Like camera shutters amplified 1,000 times. Click. 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 We climbed out. Ran. The gravel road was gone. Forest again. We did not care. We ran downhill. The copies followed. Not crashing through brush. No footsteps. They appeared between trees. One moment far away. Next moment closer. Every time a camera clicked, they moved. Click. Closer. Click. Closer. Jordan realized first. Break the cameras. He grabbed a rock and smashed one. The moment it broke, his copy stopped moving. Its head jerked sideways. Then collapsed. Not onto the ground. Into darkness. Like a photograph burning from the edges. We started attacking every camera we saw. Rocks. Sticks. Boots. Clicking filled the woods. My copy appeared 10 feet away. I smashed the camera nearest me. Its face distorted. For 1 second, it looked furious. Then vanished. Maya screamed. Seth's copy had grabbed him. Not attacking. Holding him. Face to face. Copy whispered something into his ear. Seth stopped struggling. His expression went blank. Then both Seths looked at us. One smiled. Which one? Jordan shouted. We did not know. They were identical. Same dirt. Same breathing. Same clothes. One said, "It is me." The other said, "No, it is me." Maya cried. Jordan raised the rock. Neither Seth moved. Then a camera clicked. One Seth turned toward the sound automatically. The other did not. Jordan hit the one who turned. The copy folded backward unnaturally and disappeared. Real Seth collapsed. We dragged him up. Ran again. The forest started changing. Trees repeating. Same broken branch. Same boulder. Same stream. Cameras everywhere. We destroyed them. Eventually, sunlight appeared. Real sunlight. The parking lot. We burst out of the trail. Our car was there. Only car left. We threw our bags inside. Drove. Nobody spoke until we reached the highway. Then Maya started laughing. Not because anything was funny. Relief. Shock. Something breaking loose. We drove directly to a ranger office. Reported everything. The staff listened. Then told us there was no observation station anywhere near that trail. No research cameras. No trail cameras maintained by their office. They asked us to show them where. We refused. Seth never fully recovered. For weeks he woke screaming that someone was taking pictures outside his window. Jordan deleted every photograph from the trip. Maya stopped camping. I kept one thing. The visitor log photo. Before leaving the ranger office, I photographed our trail head registration page. 4 names. Me, Jordan. Seth. Maya. Next to our names, someone had added a 5th. Same handwriting as mine. Group 42. Returned incomplete. I thought that was the end. Then, 6 months later, Seth disappeared. His apartment was locked from the inside. Phone on the table. Wallet. Shoes. Everything there. No Seth. Police found one photograph on his bed. Trail camera picture. Seth standing in the forest. Behind him, another Seth. 3 months later, Maya disappeared. Same thing. Photograph on the bed. Jordan and I stopped talking after that. Not because we were angry. Because every conversation felt like counting down. Then, Jordan called me last week. He sounded terrified. He said someone had installed a trail camera on the tree outside his apartment. He lived downtown. No woods. No reason for a wildlife camera. He took it down. Inside was a memory card. He checked it. I screamed at him for doing that. He said there were photos of his apartment. Through the windows. Sleeping. Eating. Showering. Then photographs of me. My apartment. My bedroom. My front door. I asked him where the camera was. He said he threw it into the street. A car crushed it. Then the call went silent. Jordan? Nothing. Then my own voice came through his phone. Visual sample complete. The call ended. I drove to Jordan's apartment. Police were already there. He was gone. Photograph on the bed. Now it is just me. At least, I think. 3 nights ago, I heard a click outside my bedroom. I live on the 5th floor. Last night, another. Tonight, I found a photograph pushed under my door. It shows me sitting at my desk. Writing this. The angle is from behind me. I'm alone in the photograph. But in the corner, near my bedroom door, there is another version of me. Standing perfectly still. Under the photograph, someone wrote, Group 42. Final sample. I have checked the apartment. Nobody here. I covered the windows. Turned off every screen. Removed the mirrors. But every few minutes, I hear it. Click. Closer each time. The last one came from inside my bedroom. So if you ever find a trail camera pointed directly at your campsite, leave it alone. Do not remove the memory card. Do not check the pictures. And if you see photographs of yourself taken before you arrived, turn around. Because maybe the camera is not trying to catch wildlife. Maybe it is learning what belongs in the forest. And what can be sent back in your place. That is all for tonight. 3 stories. 3 places where looking too closely was the worst thing anyone could have done. An empty house that watched from across the street. A bus route that offered people the one place they wanted to return to. And a forest filled with cameras that were not taking photographs for memories. If you made it to the end, tell me which one got under your skin the most. Would you have watched the house? Stayed on the bus? Or checked the trail camera? And wherever you are listening tonight, maybe ignore the things that do not quite belong. The extra window across the street. The bus that arrives after service ends. A small red light blinking between the trees. Some warnings only work once. After that, whatever is waiting already knows you noticed it.